I want you to know that as the director for this district, what I have to say, I'm talking to me too. I'm giving myself advice as to things I can do for the royal elders in this district, even as I'm telling you. Overlapping a bit on what Brother Bill Lovin said in his assignment, I suggest a person or persons be appointed who will make sure that personal contacts are made regularly to royal elders, including the widows and the widowers. Betty Walling suggests that pictures be taken and shown at the next meeting. You know, a picture can say 1,000 words, can't it? And my assignment is to suggest ways to honor these servants who have served us so well in times past. So, at the risk of repetition, I'd like to say, in these cards and calls, appreciation for their service to the church cannot be exaggerated or overstated. We can never say thank you or you did a good job too often. They never tire of hearing it. Paula Leak at the conference office and those who work with her do a wonderful job of keeping up-to-date records as much as possible as to the whereabouts of our royal elders. Now, she will give you a list, if you don't have it already, of what she has at the office. And also, I want to ask you if for any assistance that you may have, when you get your list, if you see that someone has been left off, then Paula and the rest of us will appreciate you submitting that information to them so that the list will be complete. This list can also be copied and given to those on the cards committee and the calls committee, who can in turn make copies to use as a checklist to assure no one is overlooked. Now, I have already learned that sometimes in your district, you have people who want to be used. We don't have to do all this ourselves, even though we do need to make sure that it's done. So, pray and ask the Lord to show you of anyone who would like to be involved. A fellowship should be planned at least once a quarter. We suggest following the example that I heard of our leader, H. Larry Jones, because I heard that he had already put together a year's calendar for planning activities just as soon as we get our new calendar from the conference, so we won't plan the wrong date, you know. So plan your calendar for the archives. As much as possible, these royal elders should be used on your programs. They love old songs. A wonderful musician should be chosen. The meeting should be informal enough to allow them to call out their favorite song. A time of sharing, letting them tell of some of their experiences in their ministry is good. Retired ministers love to tell. Well, even the Bible says we like to talk about what used to be. So give them a chance to talk about it, and even bring a picture of maybe of him and his wife, or of something that would be interesting at this meeting. A young minister suggested that at one of these fellowship meetings each year, we should plan a way for these royal elders to share their wisdom, knowledge, and experience with younger ministers. So I've been giving great thought and prayer to this and asking God, how can we do it? And I'm thinking that at our September meeting that we will actually have a panel and allow younger ministers to ask questions, possibly even compiling the questions ahead of time so that we'll have time to think about them. So, however, when you have ideas about the way that you will do it, share it with other districts. When we come back together next year, be sure to share what you did and how it worked. Another way of the aged mentoring the young is to make assignments of an elder to a younger minister or minister's wife, giving the royal elder the title of mentor. I tell you, some people, you know, Sister Pat, Sister Margaret Harmon was assigned me back there when I was a young, and we never gave that up as long as she lived. She was a treasure to me. And you know, when you start sharing like that, it's like the Holy Spirit. I would call her sometime, and she would already know about my problem. The Holy Spirit would go and share with her, and vice versa, things that she needed. You know, there were times when she would have a problem, and I would know that. And I would call her and say, Sister, even after she moved away. So I think this sharing, mentoring program can be very effective in assigning an older person to a younger. Sometimes we tried and were pleased with the results. We made up an appointed committee of 3 interested persons who went to visit the nursing home of a royal elder. The visit was brief and to the point, honoring her for her years of service to the conference. And we had a prayer and sung a song. But we made sure that we mentioned times that we were in service with her late husband. And that always lights them up for you to remember what they did. We always planned to meet in daylight hours, that is for brunch, lunch, or in the afternoon, at a central located restaurant, since so many of those attending are widows who do not wish to be out after dark. It would have been nice if we could have paid for their meal, but unfortunately we had to make it Dutch. But if they just go once a quarter or every 6 months, they can save up the money if they have a tight budget. So we further request that at all district functions, any royal elders or widow present be recognized, by name if possible, but in some way. Did you notice at camp meeting this past year that Bishop Amos asked for all widows of ministers to stand? And you gave us an applause. Now that meant a lot to me. And I'm still basking in that recognition. And so let's just ask the Lord to show us ways that we can make sure that we don't put them on a shelf. So here again is where Paula's list from the conference office should come in handy for calling names, perhaps. It would be good, perhaps, if the person or persons on the call committee would see if transportation to district functions may be arranged for some of those who no longer drive. We've got several of them in this district that they're still physically able to go, but they don't drive. And so it would be good for us to, I think that would mean a lot to them to be. As a matter of fact, we did this, and I got the sweetest card from one of the widows of ministers thanking us for bringing them to the meeting and how much it meant to her to be in fellowship with the other ministers in the district. But the main thing is we must never forget those who have served, and whatever we can do to honor and appreciate them, let's do it. Now, I did not know when I found this picture on the computer that looked like Stoney and me. Until a friend of mine saw it, and she said, well, where'd you get that picture of you and Stoney? And so I looked at it, and I said, you know, that really could be us. So let's do what we can.
Well, praise the Lord. I am a Pentecostal holiness preacher, but I feel like Garth Brooks with this thing on. So y'all pray for me. And also, I just got back off vacation, and so I need some rest. You know how that is when you get off vacation. You need rest. But I do know that it doesn't matter if it's a presenter or a preacher. Neither one can compete with lunch. And so I know the time. And so If you just give me a little bit of your time, and I'll just kind of, if you'll follow along in that handout with me, my assignment today is promoting and supporting archives on the district level and special days for special people, our conference royal elders. And some of this may be a little bit of overlap, but I think it'll help us, okay? All right. And I'll just take it line upon line, precept upon precept. Will that work? Yeah. All right. Can you all hear me? Yes. Good, good, good. If you want to. How about that? Promoting archives on the district level. Let me share this verse with you. The psalmist in Psalm 44:1 said it this way. He said, "We have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in times of old." The first question is, why should I promote archives? Number one, because future generations, according to this verse, will need to hear with their ears. How many of you know that's true? Future generations need to know about the work God did in the days of their fathers. If we took a little bit of time and went around this room, every one of you could give me a history lesson of what God did in your ancestry. And you're here because of someone's prayers, and you're a product of someone's ministry. But number three, why should we promote archives? Because future generations need an example, notice this, to follow, because they will also experience times of old. Their day is coming, and so they need someone to go before them, and they need to be able to refer back to a place, a time, and have those proper resources. But the next question is this: when should I promote archives? Well, first of all, you can do it this way at your district meetings. A minute plug will go a long way. This will not take away from your meeting. I call this the minute a month philosophy. The more they hear it, the more they'll know about archives, and just be consistent with that. Also, you can promote archives by your district mailouts. A one-liner will go a long way, and it won't take away from the focus of your letter, whatever's sent out by the district elder or the archivist. And number three, under when should I promote archives, and I just put district ministers here. We all talk to our ministers and within the conference, but on the district level, you see those ministers more often. But when you are around the ministers in your district, mention archives to them. Many of our ministers are not familiar with the facility that you're in today, believe it or not. And that's a tragedy. I mean, it doesn't matter. I know I pastor the Johnsonville PH Church, and I can put something in a bulletin. I can run it for about 3 weeks. I just told folks I would be out on vacation. I wouldn't miss a Sunday. And nevertheless, on Sunday, I think I had someone come up to me and said, "Well, I thought you'd be out today." And so it doesn't matter that we just know. We just need to record this, okay? And so make it known to the district ministers. And what should I promote about archives? As you've seen today, first of all, resources. In this place, we have CDs of pioneer preachers. We have the history of our churches. We have historical documents. Anything you need that you can resource this beautiful library here. Number two, what should you promote is the research that's been done here. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this place, a lot of labor, and it's a shame just to sit over here. This place needs to be utilized, and so this library is a phenomenal place. We have books by men who have done extensive research in their area of study, and we have position papers by Pentecostal Holiness ministers that will let you know how we view certain matters. And so anyway, and thirdly, here I put relevance. The word relevant means applicable to the purpose. The Archives and Research Center, along with the Archives Department, offers many things which are applicable for today. Notice what I say there, today. Sometimes we have this competition. It seems like we're old and young, but there's a lot of things that are in here, even though they're from times past, they're very relevant for today and can be used, and so that's important. Amen? And so moving on from that, that's ways you can promote archives in your district. But the next heading there is supporting our archives on the district level. And I want you to notice this quote here. What is not promoted generally is not supported. What is not promoted generally is not supported. And if you look who, that's a quote by Alan Thompson. That's me. All right. 3 ways your district can support archives. This is where we need your help. First of all, information. A while ago, I think you were handed an information sheet on your ministerial information sheet. If you could fill that out and turn that back in. But we need information on ministers and churches in your district. Pastor Larry has a ministerial information sheet that we need all ministers to fill out. You can help us with this endeavor. We also need info on churches in your district. And you can help us with that information. Any special events or days in your district churches, we'd love to have pictures, bulletins, recorded services, etc. Okay, and Roman numeral number 2 there, should I say, involvement. How can I get involved? Any way you possibly can. We need people who will join us in spreading the word about archives. Word of mouth goes a long way. Personal invitation goes a long way. And so, word of mouth goes a long way. We need people who will help with setup, we need organization. There's times that even this place at times has to be reorganized. We need to see you at the archives events, and we need you to hold archives events on the district level. That's possible. And you may be thinking, well, we wouldn't have but a couple show up. Well, that's all right. We're not opposed to small meetings. And but that's very, and Roman, the third Roman numeral there, investment. How can 3 ways you can support archives? And I want you to listen to me here closely. And we're coming to an end, I promise you. I won't close 4 times. I'll just close this one time. The third thing is investment. And follow me here. Not only does archives need your time and talent, but also your treasure, or at least some of it. Recently at the Johnsonville Church, I can only tell you what we decided to make archives part of our budget. We made a decision to designate $25 a month to archives. That comes out to $300 a year. And I know to some, to most churches, that's not a stretch. That can be done. I know you're supporting missions. I know you're supporting, other conference works, and so, but maybe that may be a stretch. But whatever you can do there to help us grow and to expand what you see here. But it says, and I also know of another church in our particular district that's doing the same. You can help us with this endeavor by asking your church to consider budgeting archives. We're not saying you have to, but we're asking you to consider it. And by asking your district churches to do the same. Also, I think I only see one district elder here today, but if each district could give $10 a month, and I know the conference sends out a quarterly stipend to these districts, and so $10 a month would not be that much if your district decides to do that. And enclosed or with your packet here, you'll find a letter which may assist you should you decide to invest in archives. And maybe you need to go back to your administrative council, if you will, if you decide to do this, and just show them this letter. And that's just an example. Brother Larry can take that letter, he can spruce it up, he can do whatever. But I would ask that you would consider investing in archives. And we're not asking for a lot of money. It's not like we need $100,000 a year to operate, but any extra would help us out, because Brother Larry's a visionary. He has big plans, and I don't know about you, but I like being around visionaries. I want to go somewhere, and he's taking this place somewhere. And I'm going to wrap it up with this. That's my second closing. Special days for special people. Let me read this verse to you. Cast me not off in the time of old age. Did you notice that? Cast me not off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength faileth. Cast me not off in time of old age, and forsake me not when my strength faileth. faileth. There's some special people in this conference. Even though they're aging, they're still significant. They played a vital part in this conference. And they need to be remembered. And they don't need to be forsaken. Do you agree with that?
Amen.
Amen.
So here's some ways that I think we can help. Many of our conference royal elders are at a place of want to, but just can't. But they're also at a place where they don't want to be forgotten. And we certainly understand that. May we honor and recognize them every time we get a chance. So let me give you a few days of honor. And I know Miss Rita just talked about honor, and so I want to give you just a few days that we offer. First of all, we offer a Conference Royal Elders Banquet. It takes place on Thursday during camp meeting. Help us promote the special banquet by announcing it at district meetings prior to camp meeting, and by including it in your district letters prior to camp meeting. And you may be saying, well, they'll get a conference letter. They'll get a letter from the conference. But just like I told you about my local church, the more something is promoted, the more they're informed, the more they are apt to attend. And so just help us with that. Number 2, Conference Royal Elders Christmas Banquet. Normally this takes place the first Tuesday in December. This year it will be December the 4th. And while the conference will send out a letter, like I just mentioned, we do ask that it will be announced at your monthly meetings and included in your mail-outs. Help us. I know it always, and just hearing his heart, Brother Larry, he's glad for the people who attend, but he still has a heart for those who do not attend. And he wants to bless them as well, and we need to join him in those efforts. Number 3, Retired Ministers Day. That's a day that takes place every year in our local churches, and I know we have some pastors in this room, and you can encourage this on the district level as well. But we strongly encourage you to promote this day by inviting a retired minister to preach at the church. You pastor, and also by encouraging the other pastors in your district to do the same. A generous honorarium will go a long way as well. This will serve as a day of appreciation for them. Some of these gentlemen, they may not get to preach as much as they used to, and I don't know about you, but I don't think the preacher ever leaves the preacher. No. And so they look forward to those times. And another one I included here, Pastor's Appreciation Day. That's a big day for pastors, but there are pastors that are in our district. There may be former pastors of the church that maybe you're serving, or maybe they're just a former pastor that's just attending. And they remember those days. They remember a time where they were honored, and they remember those special times. Maybe in that local church, and even on the district level, those pastor appreciation days, maybe a little stipend, a little honorarium for them would go a long way as well. And also your district revival, please consider having a night where you just honor your royal elders and just let them know you appreciate them. And district Christmas parties, I know we have one in our district every year, and maybe a $25 Walmart card. And you may be thinking, Brother Allen, you're asking for a lot. Well, I want you to know the people that we're talking about have invested a lot. And so this is just a token for their investment. And let's just face it, we have it, so why don't we share it? And last but not least, I threw this in here, Ministers Retreat. The Ministers Retreat is open to all ministers, retired, serving, whatever. However, there are some that after they've served their time and they're not active in ministry, they feel like maybe a fifth wheel, like they've kind of been forgotten. But if you could just take it as a personal endeavor to say, look, why don't you come on to the Ministers Retreat? Why don't you? And I'm coming back to the finances. And maybe if you could help them in that and say, we want you to have a good time. We want you to go and be a part of this. And so you can read the rest of that. But may we never miss an opportunity to bless our conference royal elders. One more verse. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing. Psalm 92 and 14. Thank you for your time today.
Brother Tim McIver, who is the newest member of our Archives Committee, is presenting to you a gift from the Archives Department today. And this is a book entitled Give to Live, The Freedom of Being Generous with Your Life by Dr. Stan Toller. If you guys don't mind, come stand with me here, please. We like for each one, I believe we have more books. We want everyone to get one. If you guys, I think most of you have one. If not, we'd like for you to get another one. Come on in, Brother Jimmy. And also, you also are being given a CEU form. The CEU program, as we adopted at the Quadrennial Conference this year in May, does not take effect until January 1, 2019, this coming year. So what I'm going to do is encourage you to fill out this form, keep it with you, and in January you can turn this form in and get 3 CEU credits for being here today. So keep that in mind. And that's a start already on the new year. I would also remind you, I'm going to give you a date. What? What I wanted to do right before we had lunch would be give you just an opportunity, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask any of these guys that are standing here. I want to run through a couple of things quickly with you. I cannot say how much that I appreciate the men and the ladies that serve on the Archives Committee with us. The Archives Committee not only serves as that, but we are also the Standing Memorials Committee for the conference, and they do a fantastic job in everything that I ask them to do for us. And Brother Mike Coble, Brother Bill Loving, Miss Rita Wrenn, Brother Alan Thompson, Brother Tim McIver, Brother Jimmy McKenzie, and also we've had serving on our board Miss Kathy Skipper. Kathy was unable to be with us today, and she is going to take a sabbatical off of the Archives Committee for a while, but we appreciate the contribution that she has made. What you have heard today and what you have seen today will be available on our website, and there are those possibly that would have loved to have come today and could not, and they also will have access to getting CEUs by watching the presentations that have been done today on the website. And I will just go ahead and make you aware of this. There are going to be other presentations that's going to be made available, and if you're not able to actually attend here in person, you can watch it on the website and still get credit for it through the CEUs. So that's something that we're really excited about. All right, let's look back for just a moment. Brother Coble talked about collecting ministerial and church histories on the district level. Brother Bill talked about visits on the district level, cards and calls. Miss Rita talked about honoring and recognizing royal elders on the district level. Brother Allen talked about promoting and supporting archives on the district level, special days for special people. I wonder if any of you have questions that you'd like to ask at this time. Okay. Brother Lynn Bryant, we're happy that you are able to be with us from the Columbia District. And
I have actually 2 questions.
Okay.
Is the pictures and stuff that's on the table and all that, are any of those already scanned in and put on the site?
On the
Or is there plans on doing that?
We are planning to do that. We have not done that yet, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it brought back to my mind something that I didn't do. I have recognized all of these guys here and the ladies for helping us, but I do want to give a special note of thanks to Brother Melvin Barnett. Give Melvin a big hand. Brother Melvin and his staff, Brother Eddie Wilson and others that work in his area, have worked to help us get ready for this particular time today. And there are some things that Brother Melvin and I have talked about making available on the website, and that will be one that we'll consider also.
Okay. You're talking about these books and stuff. Can they also be submitted in CD or DVD form instead of having books? Because you have a machine where people can watch it. I was wondering if that's
Now, what books are you talking about?
individual churches, instead of having the history of the churches in a book and have it on a DVD instead.
You can do that. I mean, you could do that individually on your level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Submit it to the archive.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
In the form of a DVD instead of like a handwritten record.
That will work fine, and we do have folders that we can put DVDs and CDs in. So we have some in the storage room here.
Well, one other quick.
Okay.
While you're looking at all the ministries downstairs, I didn't see a girls' ministry.
That's incorporated in with the women's ministries. Yeah, if you'll go through that in detail, there are some girls' ministries things listed there.
I saw you had the Royal Rangers listed. Okay, thank you.
All right, Miss Pat. Okay.
I found that when a minister becomes superannuated, that it takes some time to get them or to keep them on a mailing list. I know since we've retired, we sometimes get a mail out and sometimes we don't. And we are not aware of some things that are occurring on a conference level because we haven't been identified. Of course, we've learned now to go online.
Yeah, yes.
You know,
Are we still recording?
they don't, sometimes it takes a long time to get.
Okay. We are the guys that are standing with me who serve on the current conference executive council. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that all retirees get the pertinent mail that would relate to them as it relates to different conference events that that I know many of you would like to attend and be a part of. So we're trying to get that worked out. If you will notice, one of the greatest things that's happened in this conference over the last few years has been what Brother Melvin has put on the website. And sometimes it's a lot easier to go to the website than actually wait on the mail, to come to your door, to your post office. But
Don't have computers.
well, that's true, and that's why we continue the mail outs. And we've actually requested through letter form that those that do not have access to computers, that the letters were sent out where they would indicate how they would like to get their mail through, website information or direct mail. And so we've also alluded to that. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, the new website we just put up responds, it's a technical word, to your smartphones. So when you pull the old one up, you had to sit there and pinch it and pull it and up and down. The new one conforms to your cell phone. So if you have a smartphone, you have the calendar, and that calendar we keep is in real time. I literally, a gentleman the other day registered Camp Hayes in 5 minutes Paula giving it to me, it was online.
Yeah, but it's not posted.
Yeah, well, some of us are still learning how to use it. Let me encourage you, if you have retired people in your district who are not getting the information that they desire to get, I'm going to give you two options. Number one, call me, and I'll work on that personally. Also, you can call the office and talk to Paula Leak. Paula is fantastic in getting things moving in the right direction. All right, do we have other questions you'd like to ask? Okay, go right ahead. We can go around the table and take the questions.
One thing that I feel like is being neglected.
Okay.
That's all departments in our conference, and I've been saying this for 15 years. But we are having young ministers' wives coming to our conference that doesn't have a clue as to what they're getting into. And if we could get some of these retired ministers' wives to mentor, you talked about mentor, but I mean especially wives, right, ministering one another, we're going to have a lot less ministers' wives walking off.
Mm-hmm.
And that it breaks my heart to hear of a minister's wife walking off when their husband is trying to minister.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we do not do enough.
Okay.
To educate and to mentor these young
pastors.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, if you will, to share what you're sharing with us, and you guys remember this. Share that with Miss Tamara also, because she is presently, the Minister's Wives Fellowship Director for the conference. And I think she would appreciate hearing that and working with that.
Brother Amos said that she is beginning a fellowship of the widows of retired ministers. She's going to have a fellowship with him. He told me, he whispered that to me when he was leaving. So thank God for it. That'll bless those ladies.
And what Miss Pat is talking about with the younger wives coming in, it'll certainly be a tremendous asset to them to actually, quote unquote, know what they're getting into.
Spend time with them
regularly,
because I'm using my prepared for that. I'm using my family situation as an example. You take, like, my wife had no clue what a minister's wife was. We've been married 13 years. She didn't. What a woman! And it's not just the young wives that have the problem.
Right.
In our situation, not degrading her or anything, but she has. Now, she's a big help to me, but she didn't know what she was getting into. And then I became a pastor, and she was
blown away.
Yeah, well, I can't even put it into words. I really felt sorry for her. Yeah. I've been in ministry with my dad all my life, but she needs help.
Okay.
I don't know how to put it into words.
Right. I'm going to.
Oh, I can't think. Dawn.
Okay. I'm going.
I don't know what I would have done. I've called on them on how many times. I thank the Lord for them. They've been there when I didn't know what to do, and I would just call Michelle and I said, "Listen, I don't know what to do. You got to help me."
I am going to ask you to do this, if you will. Some of the questions and statements that you have made to us today, I'd like for you to put them in writing. And if you could put them in writing, excuse me, and get them to me, then I will disseminate that to the person that it needs to go to, and we'll get it covered. Oh no, it's all valid.
I've written a lot about it. You may not believe it, but I have.
Right, everything that you're saying is valid.
A lot of people have no idea about the preacher's wife. My wife and me walked in the hospital the other night, and the receptionist said, I always thought I wanted to be a pastor's wife. I see him come out of hospital. No, my husband didn't make much. I changed my mind about being a pastor's wife.
Email or letter?
Sir?
This question.
Email, yeah. And my email address is on some of the material that you have there. That's not a problem. What? What? Yeah. Okay, we're any other questions before we get ready for lunch? All right, if not, again, let me say thank you so much for being here today. Brother Tim Mciver is going to come, and he's going to ask God's blessings on our meal. Now, what we have in the room here in just a moment, we have sub sandwiches with 2 different types of bread. You have your choice of which one you'd like. We have the items that you put on your sub sandwich. We also have drinks, cups of ice. We have waters. We have chips, and it has the other little condiments that go on your sandwiches. And I am going to ask after the blessing that we allow the ladies to go first, and then we men will follow you. You may feel free to fix your sandwich, come in this room and eat it, and fellowship as long as you like today, okay? All right, Brother Mciver, if you will come and share the blessing for us.
Well, this is